Well, hi.
Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to another episode. I'm not saying this to you, but now I guess I'm time. No, I'll say it to you too. Welcome into our sacred space, Evelyn, and welcome whoever else is listening
I
to
love
our
this
sacred
welcome.
space.
It's like a dark, raspy voice, like
Yeah,
slightly
I've got
sensual.
the desert wind in my lungs, the desert sand. Like the desert. What is it? And I miss you like the desert miss the rain. Is that what it is? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know the song. I wish I could help, but
it's true though. I feel that
I
way.
enjoyed. Hmm. Well, thank you for welcoming me. I welcome you too.
Thank you. I was waiting for that. I was like, what about me?
No, you are so welcome to this space. You are ultra welcomed to this space. You are this space. Welcome to yourself.
mm,
Hmm.
it feels so good to be back. It feels really, I really enjoy recording once a week because it's really wild as a checkpoint. Like, oh my gosh, so much has happened since last Monday.
Dude, I agree. I completely agree. It's cool to check in to see like what lessons are coming through and how much more can we integrate into this podcast and share what's going on in our lives and what's been true for us. And then also using all of that as like topics. Like we literally came up with this topic last week because it was something that was coming up in my own life and is also coming up in the future. Um, so it's just cool to see how sacred silliness connects so deeply with our reality. Yeah.
It is. I mean, sacred silliness, I feel like it's a moment of art imitates life, life imitates art. It's both and
Both
just,
and.
we're just here to kind of like co process. I feel like we gave we shared our purpose and still our general purpose and still our purpose continues to unfold and shift with the winds and with our age and with our experience. And that was, oh my gosh, one of the things that stuck out the most in that almost 30 episode, which shout out to the almost 30 podcast that kind of inspired this and
Yeah.
made us feel like we could do this. And they posted a video all about the do's and don'ts and their regrets in the industry and the things that they're really proud of for doing and for getting through and for the ways that they showed up that they feel really good about. And one of those things was their ability to shift and change, not only with themselves and their needs and how their needs and wants in their business change, but also shifting and changing for, well, not necessarily for the audience, but in a way, keeping the audience in mind. Like it's inspiring to not stick to one thing just for the sake of how people might react. Like, oh, it started this way, so we expect you to stay the same. But it's really like quite the opposite. Even if people have resistance to that change, we're not doing anybody any favors by staying stuck and stagnant. Because it's not true to life. That's not
Yeah.
the
It's
truth.
not true to them either. And I think that reflects so much in quality as well when you're not true to yourself versus when you are true to yourself. And that's why they have such a successful business, is because they are staying true to themselves. And it's something that you can sense. It's absolutely something you can sense.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
things don't flow as well. You're trying to keep yourself in a bubble. Would you like to introduce what we're diving into this morning?
Yeah. I think that this topic is such a juicy one that a lot of people can relate to is it's discussing how to navigate familial relationships. And this is a doozy because families are hard to navigate sometimes, even if you have a family that is generally very supportive and you have a good relationship with the members, it can still be challenging to spend time with them. And that's for a multitude of reasons. They're a mirror for ourselves. They might represent a version of ourselves that we grew out of, that we're trying to grow out of too. And so seeing that part of ourselves can sometimes be triggering. Or, you love them and maybe they just get under your skin in different ways, and it's hard to feel that way about someone you love. There's a lot of different things that come with familial interactions, and it's also really, really beautiful when you're able to find that connection and that fun and that friendship and that relationship that feels like you're both equals rather than one being older and wiser than the other. So, we wanted to talk a little bit about just the concept in general and then also ways to navigate. And the reason why this was brought up, like what I was saying earlier, is we came up with this topic last week because I was uh, just trying to figure out how to navigate my own family dynamics. I certainly am not an expert at this, and I do my best in every interaction. Every interaction is completely different from the last, and so there's definitely not a one size fits all approach. But I feel like what we will be discussing might give some support and some direction for ways to navigate a really complex experience that has a lot of layers.
Right. I agree. And really, I feel like this is a space for us to. I don't know why this. Well, I kind of do know why this popped in my head when you said that. Like, the quote from Ram Dass, the only thing I can do for you is to work on myself. And so I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, in a way, this is almost like Evelyn and I co processing our experiences with our family over
Yeah.
time and how we navigate them now. And then in our co processing, seeing like what insights come through from hearing each other's experiences. Cause I feel, yeah, we do this quite often, especially when we've had recent time spent with our families. And so we were talking about this and we were like, we should just do this, talk about this in an episode because I personally, and maybe that's just because I haven't looked for an episode, but I've listened to a decent amount of podcasts. And other than that one Ram Dass talk on familial relationships and that part of our karma, I don't see a lot about it. Although I'm sure there are tons. I'm sure there are tons, and I'm sure they're incredible. But yeah, this is kind of our own version of that. Especially, yeah, I feel like it's interesting too because we're freshly into this new sense of independence, having been a couple of years out of our undergrad because I feel like undergrad you still have some independence and also when I say undergrad I just mean like moving out of the house really and being in your like 18 to 21 age, at least if you're in the US. I know it's different all over the world. This kind of, and it's different everywhere depending on when you decide to leave the house, you know, or even if that's not a choice that you have. But we've been a few years separated from the family in a way where we kind of get to learn ourselves and learn about our place in the world separate from them and separate from their expectations and how you know, they want to raise us and all of these conditionings and things. And now we're even a few years beyond that where we're working and we're still a little bit, you know, we're always learning. We're still in school. Evelyn's getting her master's and I'm still learning life. But in this place, there's this new dynamic of we're kind of getting a little bit more freedom in choosing our life path outside of just the structure of learning. And even that is bringing so many new insights. And when we come back to our families every single time, whether it's been weeks or months or a whole year, there's so much that shifts and there's so much that doesn't shift that,
Yeah.
like, just like Evelyn said, you revert back to this part of yourself because of the natural dynamic you're used to having with your family.
Yeah.
There's this weird gap of experiencing so much freedom to be who you are by yourself and with these new people, this like chosen family you've surrounded yourself with. And then you go back to your family, and it's sometimes so hard to keep that sense of self. I guess I want to, yeah, like this new like persona that we have identified with,
Yeah.
or lack thereof, even. Because if we're trying to get closer to no self and being a little bit more free to just flow with the movements of life and the people around us, it's all new. And then we go back to these old things that are, it's, I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of like going down this train of thought that's not fully formed yet. So I'm going to stop there. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of did touch on a really important note there about our own personal development and reverting back to old versions of ourselves can feel really frustrating. I notice within myself a hint of resentment that might come up. Even though it's absolutely no one's fault whatsoever, I think it's just kind of how it is. But when I do revert back to old habits around my family or old ways of thinking around my family, there's a sense of frustration that comes with that because I've done so much work. And I think some of the frustration comes from frustration with myself for not being so rooted in my practice that it just it's wild to see how quickly some of that can dissipate in a familial environment. Um, and I think I've also noticed a projection of this is how you should do life onto my family as a means to protect my own practice in the family dynamic. Like hey, please do this with me so that I don't lose it in myself. But then
Yeah.
it's also interesting because, like, I am one projecting how they should do life onto them in something that might not resonate with them at all, that might not be helpful for them. And two, I am forcing the dynamic to be something that it's not. I'm shooting on myself and as well. Like my practice is becoming a should rather than something that's like more grounded and rooted in I'm doing this because I love myself. You know, I'm not wanting to go and take time to meditate to nurture myself. I'm wanting to take time to meditate so that I'm a grounded person in the family dynamic and I reaffirm my identity as a grounded being. And it's just wild to see all the ego that comes up in that dynamic because, oh, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard to be with family. And I have an amazing family. Shout out to my family real quick. Like, maybe you're
Shout
listening to this, maybe
out.
you're not. Like, I am extremely grateful for my family. They are so much of why I am the way I am, and I have the good qualities that I do have. And they have supported me in so many different ways. This episode, I will not be talking shit about my family. There's no shit to
No,
talk about.
that's the asterisk
That's
right
not
there.
the
We love
that's
them. We
not what's
love them
happening.
so hard.
So hard, but it's yeah, it's just hard to navigate ego with family.
And a part of that, a couple of things that came up for me while you were talking, actually, one of them just now, is, you know, I mean, siblings a little different because if you're closer in age, there's still that space for neuroplasticity and change, but our parents are obviously significantly older than us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some parents more, I'm just going to, I'll talk from my own experience. My parents are significantly older than me because they had me at 41, 42. So there is a lot less neuroplasticity there as somebody who has lived their entire adult life and then some before even I existed. And then now that I am starting to sort of become an adult, like I still don't even consider, like, I don't think I'll ever consider myself an adult. Like, I'm always going to be this child that's learning and growing and changing and curious. And, of course my parents are too. And like, they're still capable of change and growth and learning. But also, they're in this point where they're like close to retiring. They're settled in their life. They're comfortable. They're not looking for novelty. They're not looking to, shift their whole world on a dime. Um, they're thank God, knock on wood, they're healthy, so they're not, in this place where they feel like they need to go soul searching or really shift like a horrible habit. Like maybe I see a couple of things that I would do differently, but they're not in a place where they feel like for the benefit of themselves they need to do all of these different things with their lives. Like they feel pretty good about where they're at, which I commend them and I agree. And yeah, with the projection, it's like a really good reminder because who's to say that what they're doing doesn't work for them? Like, who am I? Who am I? And I do it. Oh my gosh. I found myself doing it so often in the past few years, especially learning more about yoga, learning more about different Ayurvedic eating habits and all of these things that are really beneficial as you age, especially. And just all of this new research that's coming out about how to live the most healthy and satisfying life, especially as you start to get older, and how to make sure that you're in a position as you age and start to, decay quicker. Do it in a way that's comfortable and easy, and it's just a smoother transition into your body getting older and your mind
Yeah.
getting older. So of course, like I love them. So I want to like push all of these things onto them and all of these things that I'm learning and how they should eat and
Yeah.
how they should move.
Right.
And it went from me doing a lot of that to it took me definitely at least a few years to realize that that is not the way. And I just need to do the best that I can to love on myself so hard and do what I want to take care of myself. And in that, maybe like they'll notice a few things and want to ask me some questions or pick up on it, or like I can just share what I learned with them just for the purpose of like being excited about it and not because I
Right.
want them to take it on, because I definitely was not doing it with that intent. It was not like that pure intent. It was like, I want you to
Right.
try this and this and this because I
Yeah.
love you. It did come from a place of love, of course, but it was like, very it was very obvious they started to become frustrated and they're like, I have my own way of doing that. And I like wouldn't even hear it at first. I would not even hear it. I would just kind of like bypass what they were saying and be like, my way is better. And again, I feel like that's such a being a kid of parents, even a 24-year-old kid. I think that's just like, and I think that goes back to the playing the role of being a kid and being in that like teenager mindset of like, I know better than my parents who
Yeah.
are older and like they don't know as much. They're not with the times, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of funny to feel myself when I do go back to that. And it teaches me so much. Another thing that you were touching on about reverting back and having that resentment, I feel like it started so much as resentment, and I relate so hard to the should and like you should, you know, like I go home and I feel like my parents should move move around me and adjust around me so that I can feel comfortable being in this new kind of state of who I am that's different from when I left that house 6 years ago. And then I'm like, "Oh, right. That's the reminder that there it just is such a clear and fast way of seeing what areas of my life and my practice I'm still not confident in. I still don't feel I guess strong enough in to not revert back to a different way of being. And
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, these are it's just it's really highlighting areas where I'm still maybe shaky or I'm still unsure of what's best for me and just not maybe I don't want to say not strong, but just not sure enough of what I feel feels good. Or maybe I do and I just am in like this comfortable space where I feel like I'm like, oh, I could just. It's like Ram Dass with eating the pizza. How many times are we going to mention him? Just a forewarning in this episode,
Oh, all the time.
especially.
That's why we said it in the first freaking episode that we recorded about our purpose and what sacred silliness is. Like he's gonna come up so much. A lot.
He's our guru. What can we say?
Yes.
And so are my parents, for real. But it literally feels like, oh well, I can revert back to that old habit. I can try a little bit of the pizza.
Right.
It sounds
It's
so
comfortable.
good. And then you do it and you're like, yeah, that's nope, nope, don't want
Yeah,
that.
not for me.
Okay, just another reminder. And it helps to build that too and make it stronger. So
Yeah.
it's a nice test.
It's a mirror for sure. In so many ways, it's a mirror. I mean, like, I know with my parents, seeing them is who sometimes a really tough reflection of different parts of myself in
Mm.
my own neuroses, right? Like, so many of our neuroses came from our parents. That's just how it works. Um, Eating habits, ways about going through life, and exercise habits, perspectives, self view. And I'm not necessarily, the ones that I'm naming aren't necessarily applicable to just my family. I'm just naming different things that might be affected by just being raised by a family. Um, so, yeah, all of these neuroses can be shown to us in that family dynamic. And even that frustration that might come up is a mirror. It's showing you what you still feel like you need control over, what you still feel like has attachment to a specific lifestyle or way of doing things, or an aversion, or an attachment to how you want them to be, or an aversion from what they are, or
Mm.
an attachment or aversion to what you are or who you want to be. And all of it is a lot of opportunity to see shadow parts of yourself or see really beautiful parts of yourself and kind of take note of what resonates and what doesn't. And I think something that I'm learning as well is sometimes something will come up within me where I'll feel frustrated or like I want a circumstance to change. And in my past, I used to either get really wrapped up in that and be like, oh, this is how it should be, and blah, blah, blah. Or I would guilt myself for feeling that way. Um,
Mm.
but now I kind of just take note, and sometimes I'll be like, you know what? It actually makes a lot of sense that you feel that way. Either what I'm perceiving in this environment, and I'm not even talking about family right now, I'm talking about all environments. Either what I'm perceiving right now in this environment is something that I don't agree with, and I feel really compassionate to that part of myself that feels off center and not content, or that part of me is just being a little bit unreasonable. Uh, a little bit unreasonable, and I can kind of just take note of that and check my reality and say, okay, if I feel like this part of me that feels that frustration in and notices my neuroses come up, um, and I can bring compassion to myself, then I just bring compassion to myself. That's all that I really need to do. I just
Mhm.
give myself love and I say, you know what? I see you and I hear you. And if there is something I can do to make that aware to the people around me and we can change whatever's happening together, then great. And if not, then I just validate that part of myself. But the opposite, if I'm noticing that frustration and that desire to change what's happening, and I check reality and I put myself in someone else's shoes and I'm like, okay, no, their position's actually completely accurate, then I just tell myself, hey, you're feeling this way, I get it, that's okay. But it's not invalidating my emotions, it's just saying we don't agree with the narrative that's going on inside of our head. We don't agree with the stories and the thoughts that this is how we think it should be. And maybe the feeling stays, maybe it goes away, but eventually it goes away and you approach life, you act in ways that resonate. And I think that's the most important,
A
for
hundred
sure.
percent. And that's the most important thing about letting things pass is you have to acknowledge that they're there and you can't resist them. You can't shove them down. And, because if you do, it's like there's on one hand, you could get caught up in the story, and on the other hand, you can resist the story. But either way, that's getting caught up in the story because you're spending all of this energy resisting it and being like, I don't resonate, like ignore, ignore, ignore. And then yeah, that's literally going to create this resentment or this some sort of a feeling literally physically in your body that is going to show up in weird ways in our interactions then later on, because we can't just kind of brush it off and ignore it and allow it to pass that way. I'm really, yeah, I fully agree. That's it. Like you have to give yourself compassion, whether or not after giving yourself compassion, you recognize that it's not, that's maybe not the best way to view it. And then you can let go of the story. You can be like, okay, that's sweet. I see you, just like you said. And we were talking about how, on one hand, you can't change your family. You just have to love them. And just like with anybody, like not your
Yeah.
family, but everybody. Like you can't see somebody acting a certain way and think that you can change them because you can't. All you can do
Yeah,
is love them because that love gives them the
absolutely.
space to be who they need to be and change and grow as
Amen.
they do naturally. And so then it's the same with yourself. And I'm glad that you brought that up because we can't change ourselves. Like we can change ourselves. We do have what was the word that I was thinking of? We just do we have that ability, but only through full acceptance and love and like giving ourselves space because we can't
Yeah,
force ourselves to change at any particular rate. Just like you
absolutely.
can't rip the skin off the snake, you can make the process easier and smoother by not attaching and not resisting. But yeah, like and I think that's one of the I think that's one of the biggest frustrations, which also turns into once at least we can become aware of it, it turns into almost like a funny game, at least for me, because now that I'm so much more aware of the ways in which I revert to different old shadow parts of me. I don't even always want to say shadow, just like child Erin and Erin as a daughter. I laugh so hard at myself, like certain neuroses and certain ways that my parents will talk to me. I sometimes am so quick to anger and not even really anger, but it's like this defensive. I get so
Oh
I
my
get
God. Yeah,
so
same.
defensive with my parents more than any other person ever. And I'm like, how come I can give almost everybody else so much more grace and give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they do have a point, but when it comes to my parents, I'm like, no, I don't want to listen. I don't, I know better. Me.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm like,
wild.
oh, Erin,
It's
that's
so
so
wild.
cute.
I wonder what it stems from. Like, why do we feel like we have to defend ourselves so much with our families? Is it just fear of reverting back to old versions of ourselves? Is it fear of them being right? Is it fear of who they are? And so it's like them being right and us being wrong is like a challenge to our identity. Like I don't
I
know.
think
I don't know what
it's
it
a
stems
little bit
from.
of, I think it is a little bit of all of that. Something that comes up for me is it's this thought like always as a kid because I don't have any siblings. So I feel like there could be two different only child archetypes and one of those is relying on other people for everything because your parents give you all the attention and because it's only you. Or the other is you want to do everything yourself because your parents give you all the attention and it's only you and you want space and you want to prove that like you can do it on your own and you don't need them to like watch over you all the time and take care of you all the time and like get on you about getting things done all the time because it's not like their energy is diverted to any other person,
Yeah.
it's just you. And so I always tried to like be on top of things and learn things as fast as I could so that I didn't have to be told by them, you know, time and time again, do you remember this? Do you remember that? Whatever. But I feel like a part of it is, yeah, a little bit of that and not feeling like you're still having them. It's so weird. I guess it's like as I get older, I resent my parents parenting me because I have this, and it's
Mm.
part of my ego for sure. My ego comes through, and I'm like, you know, I'm wanting to feel like I can be independent, like I know everything. And even
Yeah.
though I can sit here right now without being in a scenario where I'm being challenged and say like, I know nothing and I'm I'm very aware of the fact that I'm still a child and I'm still learning so much. And I recognize that I know a lot and I've done a lot in my life. And there's I I'm proud of who I am as a person today, for lack of sounding egotistical, like I am. You know, I recognize my feats in life and the way that I've been able to show up and develop as a human being. And also they have 40 years on me, so I need to also recognize that that does mean something. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's true. Like, this is a different time, there's a different way of viewing things. But both can be true, where there's this just innate wisdom of age and experience versus this is the times and I know better and blah, blah, blah. It's like sometimes I haven't experienced something enough and I don't fully understand it. And when they come to me with something, I don't want to believe that I'm not capable of doing it myself. And so I don't want to acknowledge that they could be right. And so I'm like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, I can't tell you how many times as a kid, my dad, especially later on, I could notice him start to just give up and laugh and be like, can't wait for you to have kids or for you to be in some kind of a situation where you're like, you were right. You were right, Dad. This shit's frustrating as hell. They won't
Oh,
fucking listen to me. Oh God.
yeah.
It's really it's a funny
It's all about
interaction.
perspective. It really is all about perspective. And I'm literally like taking notes because I'm going on a big trip with my family next week, or I leave Friday. And I really, this is a really meaningful trip for all of us. We're going to a really spectacular place. It's also going to be for my dad's birthday, and I also know that being with family is one, special. It's special. Two, it's a privilege. Like, to be able to connect with your family, that's a really magical thing, and I don't want to take that for granted. And also, it's a vehicle for growth. And I literally wrote down, they have so much knowledge and wisdom to offer. Learn from them. I feel like in the past I've gone into it being like, well, I know better and I know that this is how you do life and this is the best way to be happy and grounded and healthy and yada yada. You know? Yeah, I have those thoughts that go on in my head. But they have also all shown me in different ways the wisdom and the knowledge that they have. And in those moments, there's a part of me that's like, huh, okay, you actually handled that so much better than I did. And I feel like that's just such a good reminder to go into it and be like, be curious about them. Like, be curious about what they have to offer. And when you have that curiosity, I think you're just automatically more open and settled because you're not like putting up this block of like, I know. You're taking down that wall and saying, maybe I don't know. And maybe they don't know either. Who knows? But I think every single person has something to offer and has their own strengths. And that's something that I think is going to carry me a lot through this trip. So we'll
Mm.
see.
Oh my God, yeah. I think it will be such a playground for you, especially being in such a lovely, spacious place. You will have
Yeah.
the opportunity to like just step outside, take a breath of fresh air, reflect, and or just not even reflect, but just be and then come back in a
Yeah.
space of openness if you start to notice yourself closing off at all, which will be amazing. And I also, when you say curious, I get so excited because I'm like, oh my God, everything about life gets so much more rich when I'm
Yeah.
curious and when I stop and when I just
Playful.
let go of my stories. Yeah, it's like a playground. And even if they don't know, even if you don't come to any sort of conclusion through that curiosity, you learn something new about them and you learn something new about yourself. And like that is the biggest gift every single time. And oh my gosh, it's incredible. You can spend your entire life knowing someone and still not know everything. Just like we're never going to learn every little thing about ourselves.
Yeah,
And that's so beautiful. There's so much mystery to life. But it's like, yeah, that the karmic playground of what I really loved. One of the things that we wrote down for this episode was, I wonder if, I mean, basically, family is, in a way, what we were talking about is there's this limitation that's perceived of these are the people that you came from, these are the set of experiences, because this is how they were raised and this is how they're raising you. But within that limit, within that bubble, there is limitlessness. There is a complete expansion to play the role. Like we are born into a family. If this theory is this is like all a theory, but it is, there's something to this theory that's worth talking about because we can show up in that way where if it's true that we are born into this family for a reason, then that gives us the permission to explore everything. And again, it goes back to that curiosity, like, what is it that I'm here to learn from my parents? What is it that I'm here to learn about myself, about them,
yeah,
about us together, how we interact and how and what that means? Or maybe not even what that means, but just yeah, like how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And how can I get out of my own way to just love them for who they are and love myself for who I am when I'm around them and then go from there?
absolutely. Ramdas has this amazing saying that says, "My karma is my dharma," and your family is your ultimate karma. You can choose your friendships, you can choose your career, you can choose your life partner, but you are born into your family. That is something you have zero control over. And so your karma is what you are given to work with. And if you are able to approach that with that mentality, not in a way that's like, I have to change this, but I more so as I get to turn this into my practice of exploration, of finding my center as best as I can, not in a way that's shooting on yourself and finding guilt when you're off center, but noticing if you feel that way and creating space around that experience. It's not that you feel spaciousness all the time, it's that you create space around the experience of not feeling spaciousness. It's that you create love around the experience of not feeling that deep, immense love. And from that space and love that you create within yourself, that will probably reflect out into the family dynamic, because maybe your family dynamic isn't perfect either. Maybe it's not all sunshine, butterflies, and kumbaya, but you're creating that same space and love around that the same way you're creating that space and love around whatever's going on inside. And using that as an opportunity to witness the parts of yourself that have the attachments and the aversions and the greed and the ignorance and all of those poisons, as the Buddha said. Um, it's just all opportunity. It's all opportunity. And it's hard. Woo-hoo! I can't believe we haven't even said this quote yet. And it's in big, italicized, bolded letters at the top of our notes, and it's something that we say all the freaking time. And it says, it's a quote by Ram Dass, obviously. It says, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family. And it's just such a beautiful quote because you can do all this work, but it'll show you the sharp parts of yourself that you thought you rounded out, that you thought created more flow, but sometimes not. Sometimes there's more.
Absolutely. And it makes me think of even Yogananda is very honest about this in his Autobiography of a Yogi. Highly recommend. I don't care who
Book
you are,
rec.
if you practice yoga or not. If you want to truly like, ooh, if you want to dive deep into the mind of somebody who's really, really, really like laid it all out there, good stuff. Anyway, he talks in the beginning about his search for his guru and his dad pressing against that constantly. Even though his dad was a very spiritual being, both of his parents were, he came from a very spiritual family, but his dad was like, you still need to chop wood and carry water, dude. Like, you still need to go to school and finish primary, finish secondary. And he's like, no, he keeps running off to the Himalayas, and his brother is stopping him and getting the police to come after him and bring him back home. And he just keeps trying to ignore his family's wishes. And then as soon as it's like his last journey out, his brother's like, okay, I'm going to leave you with I'm going to buy you tickets to go. If you're able to come back without begging for money, without asking for any help, coming back with no money in your pocket, then I'll believe that this is the journey for you and that your practice is real and that the universe and the divine mother is really truly with you enough to like bring you back home to me on this journey. And he
Wow.
goes, and that's the trip that he finally meets his guru, and
Wow.
he's able to make it back home with no money. And, or actually, maybe, no, 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 that's how he's able to go to a hermitage. They were like, okay, fine, you can leave and go to the hermitage. Then at the hermitage, he hated it. As he's leaving the hermitage, that's when he met his guru. Anyway, it's a crazy,
Wow.
there's so many incredible things in this story about his life, but he met his guru, and then his guru was like, go home to your father and go to college. Exactly what he didn't want to do. Yogananda was running away from his family, running away from going back to school, and his guru told him the exact thing. He was like, you need to live with your family and you need to go to school because you're going to go to the West and bring yoga to the West, and they're only going to let you do that and trust you if you have a college degree. And he was
Wow.
like, it literally took until his guru told him to do it for him to
Oh
do
my
it. And then,
gosh.
yeah. And I'm like, this is real. This is real. Like, in my own way, I've had this same experience where as I get older, I realize more and more how family is everything. And I was like, I'm going to move across the country and I'm going to do this thing and that thing and I'm going to live my life. And I love my family, but like they're not the most important thing to me. My life is me, me, me. And it felt like very selfish for a long time. And since moving out here, every moment that I do get to spend with them, when I do get to see them, it becomes ever more precious and special, especially recognizing that we're aging and that I've learned so much about more extended family than I ever have in my life since opening my heart up to them again. Not that my heart has ever been closed off to them, which I'm lucky to say. Like, I have a very loving family, like incredibly, incredibly loving and accepting, which I know is more than a lot of people can say. And I have felt there was a lot of guilt at first for not fully, fully recognizing that, always knowing it, but kind of like taking it for granted. And since like feeling the depth of that, I've almost had like a lot of grief around the years that I've spent not fully feeling and being in that love and the acceptance of my family and even my extended family that now I'm getting to spend more time with and learn about and grow exponentially more from by being open to their life stories and their life lessons. And I also wanted to kind of say with that, like, there's so much grief around all of it, not only in a moment like that where you finally, let's say, like open your heart back up and you feel that making up for lost time, but it's also you and your family are constantly changing, and every time something changes, like an old dynamic shifts or an old version of yourself shifts, or them to, there's change equals loss equals grief. So it's like the easier it is for one to flow with that change, the easier it is to just like recognize and feel that loss and feel the grief around that and around that dynamic shifting, whether that's just an old way that you used to interact that will never be the same again. Or I also want to like touch on the fact that there are family situations that are really really challenging, in the way where a family member can show up and do really unspeakable things, whether that's kids to their parents or parents to their kids. Because God knows I have a lot of friends who, they've been through some things and seen some things that like nobody should ever, ever, ever have to go through, especially with one of their parents. And that breaks my heart. And it also, at the same time, makes me so hopeful to see some of them that I've stayed close with throughout my life, and the way that they've grown as a person, and the way that they've been able to forgive and not move on, but like to hold space for that and recognize it and grieve that and feel the challenges of it and the way that it affects their interactions with people as they get older, but also recognize that like there is that history and that's why. And also, and yeah, just like some of them still able to interact with some of those family members and not just like completely shut them out, but just do the best that they can to keep them at a distance, but still like have like a sense of love. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I happen to have like a lot a lot of friends growing up, and even, friends that I make now that I learn about some of their family history. And I'm deeply, of course, saddened by it, but I'm also so, more than anything, inspired by
Yeah.
them and by their ability to grow and to learn and to become so strong. And not in the way where they're strong and they shut themselves off from the world, but they can stay so open to the truth of the things that they've experienced, and still keep their hearts open. It's so fucking beautiful. Like, it actually makes me want to cry every time I think about them. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's another huge challenge that I just wanted to recognize, if anybody's listening and feels like they can relate to that, where maybe they don't have a relationship with some of those family members too anymore, but they were still able to, although cutting them off for the safety of themselves and the rest of the family, they can still recognize that perhaps it, that there's many things that could be learned from it. I don't want to like speak for anybody, but that's also a part of family that is really challenging, where, it's like you're blood related whether you like it or not. And so then there's just the learning from that, and hopefully recognizing that when things like that happen, it's not your fault. It's not necessarily even their fault, which is crazy to say, but it's also like the amount of different kinds of ways that the brain can be wired that is just something went awry, something went
Yeah.
awry. And yeah, and it can just lead to incredible disaster.
To add on to that, I mean, approaching difficult people, it's sometimes helpful to see their inner child and see that the reason why they might be difficult to interact with is because the way that they're showing up is what they learned was necessary for getting their needs met. And it's a means to try to find their own internal peace. They think that what they're doing is what's going to bring them that. Maybe it's successful, maybe it's not. But if you can come to a place of compassion, that might bring your own internal peace. But that doesn't mean that that behavior is excused in any way either. And boundaries are extremely necessary. What is best for me a lot of the times is what's best for everyone else around me. And I think it's something really special when you do honor your truth in family dynamics and you don't just like roll over and show your belly all the time. Because that can be an opportunity for them to grow too. Maybe they are receptive to that, maybe they're not. But if your genuine well-being is being sacrificed by family, I think honoring your truth is imperative. And setting boundaries with yourself is imperative. I think in a perfect world, family members should be receptive to all truths, on every end, us being receptive to their truth and them being receptive to our truth. And that's why this is so complicated, is because not everyone's receptive. And I certainly feel for people that have a lot of challenge in navigating that experience. Because it's tricky. It's real tricky, but that's also the really cool part about chosen family too, is that there's not a shortage of love out in this world. And hopefully, no matter what, we're able to get our needs met in whatever capacity. I think that's something that can also really help in navigating family dynamics, is ensuring that you are getting the love that you need, so that if you're not getting it from your family, you have a lot more spaciousness around that dynamic, because it's not like I need this from you. It's just I have more ability to hold space for what this is because I have my needs met elsewhere. And again, that's a challenge too, but life, your karma is your dharma, and it's all just a practice.
That was, yeah. Aho.
Aho!
Aho, Evelyn.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you to whoever joined us on this little journey. And I don't know if like in some of these platforms that you're listening to this on, if there's a space to comment, but I know on YouTube there is. And truly, if there's anything that resonates or something that comes up for you or like a question,
Yeah.
we would love to hear about it and chat about it. And we'd love to, yeah, like have a little talk through below. And
Absolutely.
yeah, because getting your insights is always so helpful for us to learn. And if
Yeah.
anything didn't feel clear too, like, yeah, just share. If this made you kind of think about anything in a new way, or if something didn't make sense or didn't really resonate, very curious because this is just a juicy one, man. This is a juicy one. This is a tough one, and yeah, yeah, this has been fun to chat about.
Certainly really excited to take all of this on my journey with my family, and I hope that something that we said offered a little bit more space around your own experience with family, um, and allows for more healing within yourself and with those around you. And if not, that's okay too. We're not here to attach to any sort of outcome of this. We're just sharing what's on our hearts. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you, Erin, for coming and sharing so many amazing insights when we were talking about this topic in the first place, and sharing the insights now. And let's go tackle our family
Let's do it. Let's tackle them with love.
with love and space and forgiveness and
And
boundaries.
play. And boundaries. And boundaries. Oh, yeah, dude. I love you.
I love
And I love
you. And I love
you, listener.
you.
Little listener out there. And we'll see you in the next one.